Hi guys, I am Chady Dunmore, fitness expert, lifestyle influencer, and AKA foodie. You guys know that I love food, and more than anything, I have to hang out with people who love food. And I am with Chef at Large, Kevin O'Connor, who works with Copeland Estates, and we're going to do the best dressing for salads and Caesar salad, right, today?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So,
it's vegan friendly too.
Totally. I'm making one of my favorites. It's a Caesar dressing. We're gonna use kale and Brussels sprouts rather than romaine. It stands up better to that dressing, I think. So let's get started. Cool, so Chady, I'm gonna have you get started on this kale. We're gonna start cutting that. Just going raw kale and raw Brussels sprouts. Okay. Gonna go from the top down to the stem.
So how many wads of these kale would you recommend? And is there a certain amount that you...
Well, I like to call them bunches.
Okay.
Bunches of kale. And it really depends on how many people you want to serve. This dressing makes a lot. Like I said, I like to use it as a dip afterwards. Okay. So I always make a little bit extra. Okay. But this can accommodate about 2 bunches of kale and probably a dozen or so Brussels sprouts, which will serve 4 to 6 people around the table. Okay. So you're holding the stem of this baby little Brussels sprout. Okay. Because we're gonna discard the stem anyways, and just go kind of nice and thin. Okay, Chady. So we've got the kale and the baby Brussels all cut up. Go ahead and put them in this bowl.
All of it?
All of it, yeah. And then I'll get the dressing going. All right. So we're making this vegan and gluten-free Caesar. Again. There's no cheese, there's no anchovy, and there's no egg. So we've got garbanzo beans that are gonna kind of take the place of the egg. And I throw all the juice and everything in there. We're gonna want that. Capers that take the place of the anchovy. They're salty and briny, kind of like an anchovy. Dijon mustard, which is pretty run-of-the-mill for a Caesar dressing. Oh yeah, and then Chady, can you juice these lemons for me while I'm doing this? A couple cloves of garlic go in there. We could just put them in there whole because we're gonna blend the heck out of this dressing. And then something that I have in my kitchen and use a lot is nutritional yeast. It's kind of got this, if you smell it, kind of smells like cheese, right? It's kind of got that really funky cheesiness and that richness that'll take the place of the salty Parmesan. So that will all just go in there as well. And then we've got the juice of 1 whole lemon. So that all goes into the blender. And then once I start blending it, I'll start incorporating some olive oil to make a nice, thick, rich dressing, and then finish it with cracked pepper. You could just dump that in there. Lid goes on, safety first. And then get my olive oil ready, because once it starts blending, I want to put the olive oil in there and use the pop-up pourer to just kind of put it right into that hole.
So the olive oil is last? Olive
oil is last. All right, so I've got everything in the blender. Okay. Save the olive oil. We're just gonna turn it on and then slowly incorporate the olive oil as the blender spins.
So how much olive oil should someone put?
It's about a cup. I'll taste it. We'll taste it together and see. But definitely we have a recipe. Go ahead and taste it. Yeah. I think that's pretty good. What do you think?
That's amazing.
Cool. So I generally just like to finish with a little bit of cracked pepper, and then I'll just turn the blender on real quick one more time to make sure it's all incorporated. Okay. All right, so we finished our dressing. So I think that should be enough for this salad if you want to just pour it on in that salad. And I generally like to, well, first a pinch of salt. Everything gets a little bit of salt.
There you go.
Up high, right?
This is probably the healthiest dressing I've ever seen be made.
Probably, yeah.
Okay, so is there like a way that you have me do this?
Just kind of do it evenly, yeah, all around there. And then I'll let you get in there with your hands, partially because I just want to see you get dirty. And then also, I like to really like massage it in there when you have
these. Do I put it all in, or?
Yeah, dump it all in there, totally. When you have kale and Brussels sprouts like that, they're really hardy, so they can use a little bit of assistance working that dressing in.
And there's good consistency with this too. It's not like, it's crazy that there's no egg. Can I dip?
Yeah. Okay. And then I've got to throw some pine nuts in there too. Rather than like using croutons, I just toasted up some pine nuts. You can toast up almonds or walnuts or whatever else you have that adds some crunch. And then I'm gonna have you toss one more time. A little bit more.
On the wrist.
A little bit more. That's probably pretty good. And these pine nuts were just toasted in the oven at 300 degrees until the house smelled really nice. And they were golden brown, and then pulled them out, threw them in the salad. Ooh, one thing I forgot to do. Before you serve, always taste. If you're not tasting before you serve, you're driving with your eyes closed.
Ta-da! That was like 3 simple steps, which was first cutting, second would be the blending, the dressing, and the third would be mixing it all together.
Yeah, totally.
Super easy to make. Bon appetit, bon provecho. So good. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Chef Kevin O'Connor. I'm Chady Fit. This salad's amazing. If you love it, make sure you write a comment, make sure you subscribe, and follow Code in the States because they have the best ingredients with olive oil. And
I'll give you guys a recipe. Super easy to make, obviously super tasty. Thanks.
bye guys.